Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
The beach was full of happy families and friends. Bright lights shone for the Hanukkah celebration at Bondi Beach in Sydney. Children laughed and played near the water. Adults shared special food and sang traditional songs. It was December 14th, 2025, a night of great joy and peace for the Jewish community. Everyone felt truly safe, celebrating together under the warm Australian sky. But then, everything changed in a terrifying moment. Loud, sudden sounds ripped through the festive atmosphere. These were not the sounds of celebration, but piercing gunshots. Panic quickly spread through the crowd. People screamed and ran in every direction, trying to find shelter. The happy night quickly turned into a terrible nightmare. 16 innocent people tragically died that night at Bondi Beach. Among them was a little child, only 10 years old. 40 more people suffered severe injuries. The celebration of light and hope became a place of deep sorrow and fear for an entire nation. How could such an unthinkable act of violence happen in Australia? This country is known across the world for its very strict gun laws. People believed Australia was one of the safest places for mass shootings. But this brutal attack revealed a different, shocking truth. It forces us to ask a difficult question. Did Australia's strong system have a dangerous hidden flaw? This story will explore this question and try to understand what went wrong. 2. A Day of Light.
The sun was low over Bondi Beach, painting the sky with orange and purple colors. Families gathered for Chanukah by the Sea, an annual event. It was a truly happy occasion, full of laughter and children's shouts. About 1,000 people were there, enjoying the early evening. They ate free donuts and tasty kosher food. Children had their faces painted with bright colors and played near a petting farm with gentle animals. Everyone waited for the giant menorah lighting to begin, a beloved symbol of light and hope for their community. Rabbi Eli Schlanger was busy talking to people, making sure everyone felt welcome. He was 41 years old and a key person in organizing this celebration for Chabad of Bondi. He worked hard to bring the community together, planning all the details. People knew him as a kind and dedicated leader who cared deeply for Jewish life in Sydney. He smiled often, greeting old friends and new faces with warmth. His wife and children were also there, sharing in the joy of the festival. Among the crowd were Alex Klaitman, an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor, and his wife, Larissa. They had been married for 57 years and came from Ukraine. For them, celebrating Hanukkah at the beach was a very special family tradition. Alex had survived extremely difficult times as a child during the Holocaust. After coming to Australia, he built a new life with Larissa, working as an engineer.
They loved to see their 2 children and 11 grandchildren grow up. This evening was just another beautiful memory being made, a simple, happy moment. Alex stood close to Larissa, enjoying the happy music and the warm evening air. They felt safe, surrounded by friends and the strong sense of their community. The air was full of festive music, happy chatter, and the gentle sounds of the ocean. It was a perfect evening, a time of peace and community, truly a day of light. People talked about the year and shared good wishes. Children chased each other on the sand. Then, suddenly, a loud, sharp boom, boom cut through the air. It was not fireworks. The music stopped abruptly. Laughter turned to fearful screams. The sounds of celebration were instantly replaced by something new, something terrible and loud. The day of light was ending, not with candles, but in sudden, horrifying darkness. 10 minutes of terror. The happy sounds of the Hanukkah celebration suddenly stopped. At about 6:45 p.m., loud gunfire filled the air. People screamed in fear. The celebration turned into a nightmare. Beachgoers, many still in their swimming clothes, ran as fast as they could. They left their bags, towels, and food behind. Chaos spread quickly. 2 attackers stood on a pedestrian bridge high above the crowd. They wore dark clothes. They fired their guns down at the people below, who had nowhere to hide. This terrible attack went on for about 10 or 11 minutes. For what felt like forever, the gunshots continued. Hundreds of people tried to find shelter. The festive Bondi Beach became a place of terror. Eyewitnesses later said the gunfire seemed to never stop. Emergency services started to arrive, but the shooting was still happening. Amidst this fear, a brave man acted. Ahmed Al-Ahmed, a 43-year-old fruit shop owner, was hiding behind some cars. He saw one of the gunmen on the bridge shooting at innocent people. Ahmed had no weapon, but he made a quick choice. He ran out from his cover. He charged towards the armed man. With all his strength, Ahmed tackled the gunman from behind. He struggled with the shooter, trying to get the rifle. After a fierce fight, Ahmed pulled the gun away. He forced the gunman to fall. The shooter had to move back towards his partner on the bridge. But as Ahmed stood there, holding the gun he had just taken, the second gunman fired. 2 shots hit Ahmed in the arm. He cried out and fell to the ground. His heroic act had stopped one shooter, but now Ahmed lay wounded, his fate unknown. The killers. The police quickly began their investigation after the terrible shooting at Bondi Beach. They worked fast to find out who was responsible. Soon they uncovered a shocking truth. The killers were a father and his son. The father was 50 years old, and the son was 24. During the attack, police officers shot the father, and he died at the scene. The son was severely injured by police gunfire and was then arrested. This discovery shocked the entire country. Even more surprising was what police found next. The father, one of the killers, held a legal gun license. He had kept this license for about 10 years. This meant he was legally allowed to own firearms in Australia. Police confirmed he legally possessed 6 different guns. All these weapons were found at the scene or at places linked to the father and son. This fact immediately raised serious questions about Australia's gun control laws. During their detailed search, police also found other dangerous items. Inside a vehicle belonging to one of the attackers, they discovered 2 improvised explosive devices, or IEDs. These were homemade bombs. Police Commissioner Lanyon said these devices were simple, but active and dangerous. Expert bomb teams made them safe, preventing more harm. Then, a very critical piece of information came to light. It was revealed that one of the attackers had previously come to the attention of Australia's main intelligence agency, ASIO. ASIO protects the nation from threats. Director General Mike Burgess from ASIO stated that this individual was known to them, but was not considered in immediate danger. This made many people ask, if ASIO knew about this person, why was he not stopped before the attack? New South Wales Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon then spoke to the public. He officially confirmed that the older attacker possessed a valid gun license. He stressed that the man had kept his license for many years without any problems. This statement confirmed the worst fears. It left everyone wondering how a system meant to protect citizens could fail so completely, allowing legal guns to be used in such a horrifying act of terror. A country on edge. The Bondi Beach attack did not happen without warning. Before this sad day, Australia saw a clear rise in bad acts against Jewish people. For 2 years, things were getting worse across the country. Groups that watch these acts, like the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, counted more than 3,700 hateful incidents. This was 5 times more than in earlier years. These acts included writing bad words on buildings, causing damage, and even setting fires. For example, in October 2024, the Curly Lewis Brewing Company in Bondi was set on fire by people who hated Jewish people. In May 2024, a large Jewish school in Melbourne was damaged with hateful writing. Also, in December 2024, a synagogue, which is a Jewish place of worship, was burned in southern Melbourne. Authorities believed this was a terror attack. Australia's main security agency, ASIO, saw these problems growing. In August 2024, months before the Bondi attack, they changed the national danger level for terrorism.
It moved from possible to probable. This meant there was a more than 50% chance of a terror attack happening in Australia in the next 12 months. ASIO stated that angry individuals, often called lone actors, were a big risk. They also warned that more Australians were starting to believe in extreme ideas. These people showed a growing willingness to use violence to achieve their goals. The conflict far away in Gaza also made these problems worse in Australia. ASIO made it clear that global events in the Middle East were directly making local dangers grow. This meant politically motivated violence was now a main security worry for the nation. This climate of rising hatred and clear warnings helps us understand why the Bondi attack happened. It showed how extremist ideas could lead to terrible violence against a community. The attack was not just a random act. It came from a time when fear was growing. For many Jewish people in Australia, the attack did not feel like a surprise. A Jewish community leader shared this sad feeling. He said that after all the earlier bad events and the ongoing threats, the attack felt tragically inevitable. It was like something that had to happen. This feeling showed that there were deeper problems in the country. These problems allowed a climate of fear to grow and eventually turn into deadly acts. It set up serious questions about how the system had failed. 6. A broken shield.
After the Port Arthur tragedy in 1996, Australia put in place very strict gun laws. This was known as the National Firearms Agreement. The government banned many types of dangerous guns. It also bought back almost 700,000 weapons from people. New rules said gun owners needed a good reason to have a gun. For a long time, Australia was seen as a world leader in gun control. People thought its system was very strong and safe. But the Bondi Beach attack showed a different picture. The father, who was one of the attackers, had 6 guns. All these guns were legal and registered. He had his gun license for about 10 years. This made many people ask, how could a person planning such an attack legally own so many weapons? The country's shield against gun violence seemed broken. The reality was more complex than many believed. Australia does not have one strong national gun law. Instead, different states and territories have their own rules. These rules are not always the same. There is also no national list of all guns in the country. This means it is hard to track every firearm. Worse, the number of guns in Australia has grown a lot. Before the 1996 reforms, there were fewer guns. Now there are over 4 million guns in people's hands. This is almost double the number from 2001. Around 2,000 new legal guns are added to the community every single week. This showed that the gold standard of Australia's gun control was not as perfect as it seemed. The Bondi attack forced Australia to look closely at its own failures. While the nation struggled with these problems at home, the tragedy was about to become a big issue for the whole world. It was going to start strong discussions on the international stage. 7. A world watches. The world watched with shock after the attack in Bondi Beach. Leaders from many countries sent their sadness and support. Donald Trump, the President of the United States, described the shooting as horrific and purely anti-Semitic. King Charles III of the United Kingdom felt deep sadness. He noted that the Hanukkah story proves that light will always triumph, even in dark times. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said he was speechless, stressing that anti-Semitism is an attack on our values. French President Emmanuel Macron also condemned the attack as anti-Semitic terrorism, targeting families gathered for a celebration. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres sent his thoughts, saying his heart is with the Jewish community worldwide on the first day of Hanukkah. These global statements showed that the attack was seen as a tragedy for all. However, the world's response also showed deep disagreements. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu added a strong political message to the global talk. He used the event to openly criticize Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and his government. Netanyahu claimed that Australia's government policies, especially its decision to recognize Palestinian statehood in September 2024, had created a bad environment. He believed this environment helped lead to the anti-Semitic attack. He said he had warned Albanese in a letter, stating that such policies pour fuel on this anti-Semitic fire. Netanyahu also famously said, "Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay silent." This turned a local tragedy into a complex global political discussion. The debate showed how quickly a single event could become part of bigger international problems. Some people supported Netanyahu's strong words, agreeing that the Australian government was at fault. Others strongly criticized him, saying it was wrong to use the suffering of victims for political gain. While politicians from different countries debated who was to blame and what caused the attack, the survivors and the community were left with a much harder truth. They were facing a new, terrifying reality that would change their lives forever, far beyond any political arguments. 8. A new reality. The terrible attack at Bondi Beach changed Australia forever. Before, people felt very safe.
They believed their country was safe from such violence thanks to its strong gun laws. But the shooting showed that this sense of safety was broken.
It was a new, frightening reality for everyone. The Jewish community felt especially unsafe. They had worried for a long time about growing hatred against them. Now, their worst fears had come true, in a very public and heartbreaking way. This event left a deep wound on the community and the nation. One big problem was how Australia's security agency, ACO, already knew about one of the attackers, but they did not see him as an immediate danger. This made many people ask a hard question. If authorities knew, why was the attack not stopped? It showed a serious failure in how the country kept track of potentially dangerous people. It seemed the warning signs were missed, and the system meant to protect them had failed. Australia was once proud of its very strict gun laws, put in place after a big shooting in 1996. People around the world saw Australia as a leader in gun control. Yet the father involved in the Bondi attack had 6 legally registered guns. This was a shock to many. It showed that even with strong laws, there were still ways for dangerous weapons to be owned legally. In fact, there are now more guns in Australia than before the strict laws were made. This difficult truth meant Australia's gold standard for gun control was not as strong as people thought. The attack also showed the awful results of hate and extremism. For 2 years, there had been more and more anti-Semitism, with small attacks and threats. ACO had warned about people acting alone and having extreme ideas. The Bondi shooting was the terrible end result of this unchecked hatred. It became a sad example of how global problems, like conflicts far away, can cause violence in peaceful communities. Bondi Beach, a beautiful place known for joy and family fun, now has a sad memory. The whole country feels this deep scar. Australians must now think hard about many important questions. How can the nation truly keep its people safe from such hate? How can different communities live together without fear? What does this event mean for Australia's identity in the world? These questions are difficult, and there are no easy answers. The attack changed how Australia understands its security, its people, and its future. This tragic event has left many questions in people's minds. What do you think is the most important lesson Australia must learn from the Bondi Beach attack?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.